Yo, what's up, everybody? This is episode 45 of Hoops Talk with Dave's Joint. Shout outs to everybody that's shown us love as of late. But for those who haven't seen it, check it out on YouTube, Facebook, and IGTV. And we have a very special guest for us today. A, a native of the uptown section of the Bronx. Played for a little bit at St. Ray's. Went to St. John's in Kansas State, and now is doing important things in the community. I give it up for Omari Lawrence. Oh, thank you for coming on to share your testimony.
I appreciate you for having me, man. Thanks. It's all love.
All right, man. So my first question is, when did basketball start for you?
Basketball for me started around the age of 8 years old, which is what most competitive. I always had a basketball in my hand until like 3 or 4 years old. But when I was 8 years old, my brother sent me down to Gauchos, and I was able to meet guys like Russell Smith and Deron Lamb and Shane Southwell on a round ball side, and that's where it kind of took off for me.
So talk about growing up in Baychester. What was the basketball culture like up there, and what was it like just being from there overall?
Well, being from the Bronx and being from uptown, it's super competitive. We got all type of athletes in our neighborhood. I live a half a mile away from Durant Scott. Chris Fouch lives in Co-op. Even Kimber lives 10, 15 minutes away. Corey's in Castle Hill. So just the vibe and the culture for the Bronx, it was serious because we was all competitive and wanted to play and excel well in basketball for sure.
So you mentioned Gauchos. You always played with them. Talk about playing with the legendary Gauchos.
I mean, the tradition speaks for itself. I played with 15 D1 players on my team. Everybody went to a high D1 or a mid-major, so that pretty much speaks for itself. I had, like I said, Durant Scott. I played with Truck. I played with numerous guys that's been on the circuit and made a lot of noise in college and professionally and still playing now. And just being in that gym and that atmosphere of great players, it's just, it's unbelievable. And I mean, I was able to do my thing and win a lot of championships. I tell the people this all the time. There was summers that my team didn't lose. We just won every tournament. We competed on every platform and just never lost. And we were playing against the most competitive dudes in the world, the John Walls, the DeMarcus Cousins, the Derek Favors, whoever you want to name that was top in the country, and we would come out on top. And the proof is there. That's tough.
Talk about playing for Book.
Well, playing for Book within himself, man. He first and foremost, he's a great dude. You know what I mean? He's a great mentor. We love everything that he does for the culture, especially for not even Gauchos, for also St. Raymond's as well. That whole tradition and that love that he brings and the energy that he brought to that team was unmatched. He kind of did a great job with that, getting all of us guys to buy into just winning and not competing with each other, just competing against other places. Being from New York, that's the first thing we do. We want to compete and win, and he got 15 dudes, on both levels, 16 under and 17 under, to compete at the highest level and like I said, win. So, you got to tip your hat off to him for doing a great job.
Mm. So, as a youth, what tournaments in the city did you like playing in?
I'm not going to lie. UDC might have been one of the best tournaments for me. Pro City was good. Ross Strickland, I remember Ross Strickland had a great tournament. The trophies might have been 7 foot one year that we won. Citywide. Yeah, Citywide was dope. But UDC definitely stands out. UDC was a tournament where it was uptown in the Bronx in my neighborhood. And, our family was able to come out and watch me. And I had some good games out there. But dope, for sure, UDC.
Mm. So let's get into St. Ray's. Like, what made you decide to go there?
Me, to be honest with you, I'm not even going to lie to you, D. St. Ray's wasn't even on my radar. Going to him right there. Which one? Right there, I looked at. Hold on, Jay. Right there. The black shirt. Yeah. St. Raymond's wasn't even on my radar, to be honest with you. I was actually taking a placement test to O'Hallows. St. Raymond's wasn't even a thought for me. My schools were, I believe, like O'Hallows, Spelman, and I'm not even sure my third one. St. Raymond's might have been my third option. And the reason how I got there, I went to a summer program, summer basketball camp, and all my friends were there, and I was playing well, I was competing, and one day I just sat and spoke with Oliver Antigua, and we spoke about some things and potentially visiting the school, and from there I feel like it was a done deal for me. But yeah, St. Raymond's wasn't on my radar at all. It just happened that way, and then it ended up being a beautiful situation for 3 years.
So did you like start out playing freshman?
Yeah, man, I didn't play varsity my first year out. It's a funny story. One of my right hands, Kevin Parham, he didn't really inform me about varsity tryouts. So I went home thinking it was just a regular day of school. And when I got to school the next day, I heard they had practice and the team is formulated and all that stuff. But I wasn't discouraged enough, and I just say, you know what, it is what it is. And I played freshman year, and I had a great time. I had, my teammates was pretty cool. We won a lot of games. I was able to actually have fun playing basketball as a freshman and enjoy that experience.
So then sophomore year came up. You had a lot of talent on the team. Truck, Kevin Parham, Tyreek Johnson. Talk about, those games, during that year.
We had some battles, man. I remember vividly the 3 battles I could really recall was playing against Holy Cross, Sylvan, and Blaze. What's his name? Blaze, at my house. That was a heated battle. I remember playing against Big Bird and Irv at Christ the King, and even Malik Booth my sophomore year, and I believe we lost to them going to go to the city championship my sophomore year. So those battles were like really heartfelt, because these are guys that you play against in AAU. You grow up playing against them in tournaments, and when on a high school level, you want to always compete and beat them. And sometimes you don't really end up winning, but you get the best of them, or you get the best of your opponent. So that was always my thing, man, playing against some guys. Even playing against like Russell Smith at Malloy, or even Deron Lamb his sophomore year when he was at his freshman year when he was at Bishop Loughlin. Those matchups were cool, because, like I said, we grew up playing with each other, and we compete at the highest level. We all want to win.
You guys had a nice gym that was like a couple $1 million when it was built. Like, talk about playing inside the Ravens' nest.
I think, like, I'm kind of biased, man. Like, I love Gauchos gym. I love the culture. I love everything. But that home feel and that energy that St. Raymond's gives you when you step in the building is kind of like unreal, man. I always say it, like, you go in there feeling like you got a 6-man on your back. It's whether it's the Raven crowd or just the energy in the building once what we're winning, or we got the momentum, or a dunk, or anything. Whenever you see like the bird dancing, or all that culture and vibe is something that, like I said, I really haven't got anywhere at no other school, especially playing against in the Catholic school level.
So your junior year, like, how was that year? As recruiting started to pick up.
My junior year was pretty magical, man. I think that's when I really told myself I had a chance, and I was able to turn the switch. Because if I'm not mistaken, my junior year I might have got first team all city my junior year with along some real heavy hitters like Lance and Sylvan and them type of guys, which was an honor within itself. But I was able to really stay in the gym. I tip my hat out to a trainer called KC Williams. I'm sure you know him.
Yeah, shout out to KC.
Yeah, for sure. He had me in the gym, at St. Raymond's, at other spots in the Bronx doing 2-a-days just to prepare me for my junior year. And even St. Raymond's, even with Alametiga, we were doing a lot of things as far as weights and just prepping for college. And those things always helped me excel. And I had, like as I said, I had a solid year. I was able to even pick up a lot of schools, like I said, even like Georgetown and Memphis, and them schools were coming to the gym frequently just to check me out, and it was a cool experience.
So what led you to leave St. Ray's?
It's nothing to it, to be honest with you, Dave. Kevin had gotten to altercation with Oliver
Antigua.
Antigua,
Yeah.
and I wasn't even in school that day. To this day, I don't even know the full story. I just know something transpired in the locker room, and either words were exchanged or blows were exchanged. I really can't call it. And I mean, that's not none of my business. But I followed Kevin on, I guess you could call good faith or blind loyalty, which was my good friend of mine. And I went to South Kent my senior year, and the experience was cool, but I didn't really enjoy the basketball. I felt like I was just playing basketball to play basketball because my team was stacked with high D1 guys. We were like, team was so good that any given night one of us could score 30 points or 25 points, and we would win the game. So I didn't really get that basketball stuff out of it. But as far as life skills and being independent and being on my own and being an hour away from New York, that was, I guess, the bigger picture.
Like, you already answered the question about your senior year, but do you feel like any regrets in leaving St. Ray's? Like, do you ever think about what would have been if you had stayed there?
To be honest with you, man, I'm 29, and when I look back at it sometimes, and I talk to my friends like Duran and Shane Southwell, and even my friends that stayed at St. Raymond's their senior year, they told me we had people on the roster like John Wall. We had all type of guys that were going to that next level and excelling, and I wasn't a part of that only because I feel like Antigua had that plan for me my senior year, but I kind of bailed out and went to South Kent and didn't really get the opportunity to actually stay in the city and potentially try to be, Gatorade Player of the Year and win the, Catholic School League and those accolades that we all want. And I never got a chance to do that because, like I said, I left. And that's one thing that I really regret because I feel my senior year, I had a good shot with me, Kevin, Tyree Johnson. We'd have to fill in the pieces to actually, compete with Rice and them other schools. And I think we would have came out successful. But for sure, I don't think it's a regret. But, looking back at it, I wish I would have changed that. You know what I mean?
So when you were at South Kent, what was your recruiting like then? Like, were there more schools than you had at St. Ray's?
When I was at South Kent, I kind of like committed to St. John's a little, not early, but earlier than I'm not saying that I wanted to, but then maybe because I should have. I could have opened up my recruiting and probably went to another school or, played another conference. But I initially, I felt the vibe with Norm. The energy was good. He was a, great recruiter, even better person than coach. And he was like I said, he was a great dude. He made me feel warm and welcoming. My thought process was going to St. John's and, the whole cliche of bringing New York back and bringing that energy back to the Big East and all that stuff. And that's where I was at mentally. And that's the reason why I went to St. John, was to stay close to my family. And I knew playing in the Big East, it was nothing like it at that time. You know what I mean? It was playing against E-Banks, Scotty Reynolds, Corey Fisher, all type of, high-level guards that went to the next level and made some money.
So, was playing at St. John's like a dream for you before you actually committed?
It wasn't really a dream, honestly, because, like I said, at the end of my junior year, I knew I was going to be in a big-time program, whether it was St. John's or any other college. So it wasn't really a dream, but I just, like I said, what sold me was I'm playing in Madison Square Garden 8 to 9 times a season. I'm in Queens. I got everybody, from back home coming to the games, and I'm playing against dudes that I essentially grew up with, my older brother Justin Burrell. That's where I met Dwight there, and from there, it's been downhill as far as friendship and love. So like I said, it was a lot of things that made me go there. It wasn't just Norm or St. John's was a Big East thing. It was a lot of factors, and like I said, I could have went somewhere else, and maybe I should have went somewhere else, but at that time, I feel like that was the right fit for me.
So, talk about that 1 year at St. John's.
For me, it was pretty much, it was overwhelming for me, honestly. I'm not gonna lie, because I didn't go in there with the thought process. First I went in the thought process of I'm either a one and done or I'm two and done. And essentially you say that in your mind, but you don't actually put the work in. I wasn't in the gym twice a day. I wasn't really dedicating time to my craft the way I should have been. I'm in the dorm rooms, I'm messing with girls, I'm staying out late and partying, I'm not getting the energy, the rest that I need, or even the things that I need to do to play at the next level. I wasn't really focused the way I should have been, and I think that's probably one of my downfalls at St. John's. I think if I maximized my own, potential and worth, I'd have got a lot more out of my freshman year than what I did.
So
maybe that's a regret that I have to live with.
Like, you got to stay home. Like, that goes to show right there that staying home for college, even if you're playing in a major conference like the Big East, isn't always a good idea. Like, did you ever think like, damn, like this didn't work out for me? Like, was there like another option that you thought of prior to committing to St. John's? Like, what was another school that you really, really wanted to go to?
I really wanted to go to Memphis, man. I remember when I wanted to go to two schools actually. I wanted to go to either Memphis or Georgetown, but Georgetown was more so like you could come in, you could play the wing and you could play the forward. I'm 6'3" and a half. I mean 200 pounds my senior year or then my junior year of high school. There's no way I'm going to the Big East and playing the 4 or the 3. And at Memphis, when Rod Strickland had came to the gym recruiting me and wanted me, they were saying you play the 1 and 2, and that's what I wanted for the next level. I wanted to be a combo guard. So that was more of the gist of what I wanted to do. And even at St. John's, I was able to play the 2 a lot. I brought the ball up. They gave me that flexibility. But like I said, if I could do it all over again, I probably would have went to a school like Memphis because they was buzzing. They had, I remember they had that Derrick Rose wave, and before him, they had them combo guards. I was really going in that conference, and I think that would have been a better move for me as far as what I was trying to do.
So when did Kansas State come into play?
Well, they came into play probably about, honestly, a week or a week and a half after I signed my release form from St. John's. I didn't really know what I was going to do. I didn't really have a plan or anything like that. And you're on a, I'm not sure if once you sign that letter, you're on a list.
Yeah.
A full list of guys that are a transfer list.
Mm-hmm.
And on that list, I guess Curtis Kelly and I guess I'm not sure if him and Frank Martin had a conversation or Frank Martin and him. Frank Martin had a conversation with him saying, hey, what's going on with Omari? We would love to have him. I remember recruiting him in high school. I couldn't get him because Kansas State wasn't at that level. Nobody really knew Kansas State until Michael Beasley got there, quiet as kept, because, he really actually essentially put them back on the map. So with that being said, Kurt got me on the rank. I prepared a visit. When I got there, I was greeted with Frank and the coaches, and Curtis Kelly was my host, and and Jordan Henriquez, the 7 foot dude.
Yeah, I know Jordan.
Yeah, shout out to Rice, my Rice brothers. They kind of gave me the ins and outs on the school, and I felt comfortable with them guys. But look, like I said, even looking back at it now, me and Frank, we wasn't the right mesh for me, because I don't need nobody to be militant and always yelling and all that stuff. I need somebody with more love and care and compassion, and he wasn't really that for me. So, like I said, going there initially, that's how it started. And I was playing with dudes that were in the tri-state. Shane Southwood was there. I felt good about it. So it was a no-brainer. And I was playing in the Big 12, which is arguably the best conference in America for the last probably 8 to 10 years now. If you want to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, after the Big East, I don't really see no other power conference that gets guys in the tournament or even wins the tournament. Kansas, Texas, like these are big time schools, Baylor, and I felt like I could still compete at the highest level. So why not?
So talk about your 3 years at Kansas State as a whole.
Well, my first 2 years were kind of like a blur, to be honest with you, because I was like competing in practice, and I wasn't getting the opportunity to actually perform and show my talent. So with all that, I wasn't able to really, I lost confidence in myself. I wasn't passionate as much as I should have been about basketball, or, some days I take practice off mentally, and I wasn't focused the way I should have been my first 2 years because I was bumping heads with my coach. He wasn't really, wasn't seeing eye to eye. Not saying anything against him and myself. We just wasn't connected on that level where I was able to play and perform, and he had his mind on other things. Because we had a potential NBA player which plays for the LA Clippers now. We had Rodney Magruder, and we played the same position. So essentially, I was playing behind him, and I was coach's guy, and he rolled with him, and as you can see now, it worked out. He's an NBA player. So my first 2 years was choppy. I played, spotty minutes here and there. And then when Frank left, it kind of opened up got fired. It kind of opened up the floodgates for me. I was able to, play some minutes with Bruce Weber. That was at Illinois. I had him for a year, and the dynamics of the team and the concepts and all that changed. And I was able to actually, play my game a little bit and excel my senior year. And we were able to win a lot of games. Like end of my junior year, we won a Big 12 championship. Us and Kansas split the title, and I was able to get a ring. So that's a huge accomplishment that I always think about, and I tell people about, because it's a dope experience. A lot of people don't really get to experience shit like that.
How was it playing against Kansas, man? Because I know y'all both in the same state, and their crowd is crazy.
Listen, I'm not gonna lie, man. That might, between Kansas and Oklahoma State, those are the most rowdiest, loudest arenas I've ever played in, or being a part of, or witnessed to, or anything. It's just like, it's nothing like you see on TV. It's so much, crazier in person. You can't even hear yourself talk when you're playing on the court. You got to have signs and all type of crazy stuff, because they make a lot of noise, man. And it's intimidating, and the atmosphere is like I said, it's unmatched. Kansas is crazy, man. It's like they're on top of you. And even playing in Oklahoma State as well, it's like the fans are so close to you, and they make it like an intimate thing. So it's you get the real feel of college. So it's a dope experience.
So after Kansas State, you went and played overseas in China, Cyprus, and Slovakia.
For sure.
Talk about your time overseas.
When I went over there, and my first thing was in Slovakia, it was kind of, like I said, it's kind of new to me. I didn't really go the agent route. I spoke to a few of my friends, and they were able to contact me with different coaches and GMs, and I went that route. I didn't really have the professionalism of, somebody recruiting me and saying, "Here, you're going here, position here." So my route was a little different. I'm not sure a lot of people know that. And when I got to Slovakia, it was eye-opening, because like I said, first, I've never been out there before. I've never been a professional athlete. I didn't know what anything was about. You just hear stories that sometimes you don't get paid, or the food isn't good. And me personally going out there and experiencing myself, it was eye-opening, but I enjoyed the experience, because I felt like, me being a basketball player, working my whole life from 8 years old to high school to college to finally getting paid to do something you love, within itself is a dope experience. And as athletes, whether you're getting $100, $500, $1,000, or $1 million, it's still a check, right? You're doing something you love, and you're getting paid for it. So with that being said, my time in Slovakia was bittersweet. The basketball was really good. It was really competitive, but the meals and the food and the weather wasn't good. So I wasn't really enjoying myself off the court. Like, I was able to take 1,000 shots. I was able to shoot the ball. I was able to do any and everything I wanted, but like I said, off the court now, the experience wasn't the best. I was living in like a dorm room setting. I was like sometimes 2 weeks late on pay, and I got to go to the GM to talk to him. I mean, it wasn't really like the best experience now. And then when I got to Cyprus, it was like day and night. The coach was really cool. The weather was great. I'm on the beach. I got a big Nike store.
All right, go ahead. Yeah, so you were saying about Cyprus?
Yeah, like I said, it was totally different from being in Slovakia. It was day and night. I was dealing with way more beautiful women, first and foremost. The weather was fantastic. The weather was fantastic. We had jet skis. Had a TGI Fridays. The food was a lot better. The level of competition now wasn't as strong. It wasn't good, but like I said, living wise was beautiful. I had a great time there. I met a lot of dope people. I was able to, have some still dope friendships to this day. And like I said, the basketball wasn't the best, but the living experience was day and night from being in Slovakia, and how from there I played a season in China. But the way that worked, I had actually went over there to train some kids and coach, and the house team, see me shooting around and playing. And it was like, yo, we'll pay you some money to play. And the crazy thing, it was a Hong Kong league, and it was super competitive. It was guys that I've never heard of, and there's also guys that I played against in college that I haven't seen in years. So it was a great league, and it paid. They gave me a good salary that I kind of wanted, and I went with it. So I was able to do that for a year. But the thing in China now, I didn't really enjoy myself because the language barrier was so crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine being in another country for a whole year and you can't communicate with anybody but you and your translator.
That's true.
So every time I'm opening my mouth, my translator is to the right of me, explaining everything that I'm trying to articulate to somebody, or the food I want to eat, or what I don't like, or pointing fingers and whatnot. Ain't got it. I don't know, maybe.
That's tough, man.
Yeah, so that was a weird experience for me, and I wasn't really a fan of the food there, because you hear stories about cats and dogs and all that crazy stuff, and honestly, between me and you, the most I ate pizza. I kept it real plain. I went to McDonald's, went to KFC, Starbucks, and I probably ate that for a whole year straight. And ramen noodles. Those I wasn't messing with no chicken, no beef. I didn't know what was what, so I kept it simple and plain.
Yeah, man.
And that was my regimen for a whole year. And that's how my pro career went. Them 3 seasons, them quick 3 years. I made some money. I enjoyed it, but I didn't have, me personally, I don't think I had a good enough, mental state of mind to say, hey, I want to have this as my long-term career, because essentially at the first team I played for, I didn't really get the experience I wanted or I felt that I deserved. So I was discouraged, and I came home and I started working. I started working with kids, and I went that route because, like I said, it's not like I didn't experience it. I didn't make some money. I did all those things, and I was able to, I could sit and tell the story to my nephew, to whoever, and walk them through the process the same way that I didn't have somebody to walk me through the process. So it's all a learning experience.
Well, two things. One, it's a good thing that you didn't eat some of that food in China, because look what's going on now.
Yeah, it's dangerous, man. Like you said, you just don't know what they're doing over there. It's just things are unknown.
Right. And then on top of that, as far as the overseas thing, like, there's a lot of shady people in the agent business, and then the teams in general. They like to play games with the money, and it's just not a stable lifestyle, because in a lot of different countries, those contracts, depending on the team, it's like minimum, basically, like they either paying you minimum equivalent to minimum wage or less than that.
For sure, and that's why when you look at the bigger picture, it's like, do I want to be away from my family and friends for 6 to 8 to 9 months and make $30,000 where I can stay home and have a salary job with health benefits and insurance and make anywhere from $50,000 to $70,000 and not have to risk waiting on a check or however the case may be. But being home is totally different. So people have to actually think about that. People just want to go play basketball to play basketball. They don't think about the longevity. Like, how are you going to support yourself and your family? And from our standpoint, living in New York is not cheap.
Yeah, it's not.
Things are extremely expensive. Whether you're doing it by yourself or you have a partner, it's expensive.
Yeah. So let's talk about what you're doing now. You're at PS 21 as a behavioral specialist. Like, talk about that a little bit.
My mentor, how I even got into that business, my mentor from Kansas State, I met him the end of my sophomore year. His name is Keith Emerson. He was a behavioral therapist, and he kind of directed me, saying, he always kept his ear in my, always had an ear in my head, saying, like, listen, if you want to come to the school, if you want to pursue this, I can teach you how to do it. I think you're a great fit for kids. And I kind of flirted with the idea of, I'm gonna play basketball, I'm gonna play summer ball, then I'm gonna get to the, to the 9 to 5, or I kept going back and forth. So, one year I said, you know what, let me give this work thing a chance for the whole year. And I made a phone call, I linked with him, and he told me he had a organization, and I could work with the school and deal with kids. And I said, I'm not really familiar with this whole format and stuff. And he was like, don't worry about it. I'll walk you through. You'll be a natural. And 4 or 5 years later, I was in the school. I was a behavior therapist. Doing meetings with principals and teachers, and just helping out kids with autism and actually building that bond and connecting with them, because our younger generation, those are the ones that need the help the most. And
Right,
they get
exactly.
overlooked, or they don't have the services, or they don't have the money, or the proper love or care at home. So that's what I was to the kids. I was dealing with kids from kindergarten all the way up to 5th grade. So those were my main group of kids that I was able to connect with and have those conversations, and just those experiences with them, just to help them out, whether it's everyday life, or needed help in the school or learning, however the case may be. That was my job for 5 years. And it's a great experience going home feeling like you taught a kid something, or you had a conversation with them and they were able to get that stress off their shoulders, or just feel comfortable enough to have that dialogue with you.
Mhm. So talk about the what was it? I think you were doing a camp recently.
Yeah, I hope. Go ahead.
Hey, go ahead. No, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. Yeah, I host this will be probably my 4th year, my 3rd year doing it. I host a camp every summer, and I try to employ my friends, whether it's Truck Bryan or Duran Scott or whoever I grew up with that have like minds in basketball. I try to employ them and get them situated with what's going on. So it's like I said, it's a beautiful thing. I do it in Arbonne, which is in White Plains, New York. It's like about 20 to 30 minutes away from where I live out in the Bronx. And I get, all group of different kind of kids that want to, just learn the game and have fun and just grow together.
Did you ever think that you would ever have a camp?
Honestly, I never really thought I'd have a camp, but me going through the whole my foundation thing and giving back to kids and having all that stuff, it was like it's a no-brainer, because I train kids in basketball, and I get a good group every time I train or do my one-on-ones. So I was just thinking to myself, why not put it together and have a clinic or a one big camp where kids can actually learn and develop their skills.
That's what's up, man. So this is a question I love to ask all my guests. So
Okay.
if you could go back in a time machine to 2008, what would you tell Omari at 17?
I would tell myself to stay in the gym, man. Stay dedicated. Stick to your craft. I think I slacked off a lot after my junior year of high school, and I even think I slacked off more my sophomore year of college, where I had a lot of things handed to me. I was, not in the gym the way I should have been. I'm partying and not taking care of my body. I think that's what some of the things I would actually tell myself. I would also say, honestly, I also tell myself I probably would have stayed at St. Raymond's. I think I would have stayed there, finished out my senior year.
Yeah, he should have stayed. He should have stayed. You hear me, Dave?
Yeah, I hear you, Chuck.
He know where home is at.
Yeah, it's not even the home. I think I would have got more out of what I was trying to do as far as excel. I probably would have got, potential Gatorade Player of the Year. I would have probably played against Lincoln. I would have competed against Rice. And I feel like Antigua has set it out for me to play on the highest platform my senior year. And that's an opportunity that I would never get back, because I went off blind faith, going to South Carolina with my friend, which essentially wasn't a bad thing. But like I said, I think I should have stayed home.
So, final question: what's next in the future for Omari Lawrence?
That's a great question. What the next in the future for me is this summer I'm actually working on building a basketball court in my backyard where I can do my private sessions and training, and that's the next biggest project. So, and you heard it here first. That's the next step for me. I wanna have my own own facility, my own infrastructure where you come to me or all pros come to my gym in the Bronx or however the case may be, and we all work out, train, and have a good time.
Well, thank you all for coming on to share your testimony, and I wish you and the camp and everything that you're doing at PS21 the best of luck moving forward.
Man, listen, I appreciate you for having me, man. I've known you for so many years now, and I want to let you know that I'm proud of your success and your growth, and just keep it going, brother.
My God. Everybody, thanks. Everybody, thank you for checking out this episode. For those up in Baychester that support Omari, and just everybody in New York that supports Omari, check out episode 45 of Hoops Talk with Dave's Joint on YouTube, Facebook, and IGTV. But everybody stay safe, stay blessed. Peace.